First person we're going to hear from is the father of the bride. So put your hands together for Neil.
Well, what about, how do you follow that? Yeah, thank you, Anthony. How do you follow that? Village people. Yeah. And breathe. Welcome, everybody, really. What a day. So far, what a day. It's been great. So, welcome everybody, including the Centurions. You know who you are. We'll leave it there. Yeah. I've told the bar staff, no mini Guinnesses, baby Guinnesses before 10 o'clock. Really, we've done that. Thank you all for making a short trip to this beautiful venue and joining us to help make some very, very special memories for Emily and Tony. Thank you. This has been, for all sorts of reasons, a long time in the planning. You know, COVID affected everybody, there was a backlog, whatever. Tony proposed, and then it was, the venue that chose, how long it was. 2 years in the planning, pretty much. And their efforts during that time cannot go unnoticed. You will see today how much effort has gone in to making everything as enjoyable as possible for us all. And I'm sure we'll continue to enjoy this wonderful occasion. Also, as we've now witnessed, as they have committed themselves to a lifetime together, I wish to share just a few special memories from my life with Emily, and more recently with Tony. So, Emily, my firstborn. We have been through so much together. And now, I accept I'm an accountant by profession, and I'm a little bit of a nerd. Unfortunately, I'm also a bit of a geek. I like my tech, I like technology, have done since I was a child, and in some ways, I'll thank my dad for that. But I've always tried to force it on the family, going, guys, this stuff is great, really, you'll have so much fun with it, really. And I even managed to get Jane to use an iPad, and that is a major, major achievement. But with technology comes games, it comes fun and spare time. Now, three enduring memories I have of Emily during her young childhood was how she got games, the things she wanted to do, and how she enjoyed that. And it started to show characteristics in her. And it started at the beginning. The girls, Laura, Emily, wanted a pet. We got them guinea pigs, whatever, but they wanted a dog. And I said, no, the time's not right. I'm Mr. Grouch, and I'm thinking about the dog. We do a lot of stuff, we're in and out, whatever. The dog won't have a good life. So I said, no, absolutely not. But what I could do was get a virtual dog. So we got a DS and Nintendogs. And at that point, Emily found how difficult it was to train a dog. Now, fortunately, we're a little bit older. And we've got Archie. And I adore him. I absolutely love him. I folded a couple of years ago, I said, no, we'll get a dog. And it's impossible to train a spaniel. It is absolutely impossible. Lunatic. But I love him to bits. But then we moved on, and Emily wanted to do more. She needed a bit more of a challenge. And so we got Animal Crossing. Now, I don't know if any of you guys had a DS, you remember these games. Animal Crossing, full of tasks, stuff to do every day, and Emily spent hours and hours and hours looking after the animals in the forest or whatever it was. And then as time passed, she got a bit older, machines got a bit faster, she got a laptop. What did I get her? Sims. Sims. Now, I don't know if any of you have noticed, but when builders start developing estates, the starter homes are 5 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. That is Sims. Sims caused that problem because Emily, she created, she nurtured, and she cared for the family. And I think you must have spent years doing that. Yeah. But I think that started to show characteristics. In other parts of Emily's life, as exercise, doing sport, she started swimming. Now, swimming is a commitment. A bit like, it's like marriage. It is all day, every day. Now, through that, not only did she learn to compete and winning and losing and so on, but she met some really, really great guys. And it's lovely to know a few of you are here today. Without that, she would have never known you. Within that, there are stories. In that commitment, she would train, about 5 times a week? At least 9 times a week, including mornings. And that included getting up at 4:45 in the morning, like I did today. Unfortunately for Jane, I'd normally get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and it's just how I am. Now, as time progressed, it was clear that Emily was okay at one particular event, and that was the butterfly. And so she went on to do competitions at local, district, regional championships. The regional championships are held at Ponds Forge. Now, for anybody who doesn't know, that is an Olympic-sized swimming pool. So if you go to your local pool, have a splash around, that's a 25-metre pool. An Olympic pool is 4 times that size. It is an ocean. I walked in and I almost burst into tears. I thought, my God, what have I done? I'm putting my 11-year-old child in an ocean to compete and swim. It was an experience. But Emily thrived at it. She made regional finals. She did really well, and I am hugely proud of what she achieved in that time. But again, as a parent, I got involved. I did this and that. But you also have to put in entry times, and here came one of my many failings. The entry time that I put in for her for a 100-metre breaststroke swim in a short course pool, I won't get technical, I had to make it up, and I got it wrong. Emily really didn't enjoy breaststroke, and she went into an event where she was about 7 or 8 seconds more, probably slower than every swimmer on every length. So the competition starts, she goes up in front of all the parents who are sitting watching. She came last by about 1.5 lengths, and it was only 4 lengths. At that time, I was an official, so I'm standing at the finish line, watching Emily come out of the pool. She was livid. I mean, it's the first time I'd seen my daughter. It was fury. She didn't ever do that event again, ever. However, in the things that she did do, the butterfly, at a point in time, this is your child. I'm looking through the stats, I'm an accountant, I do numbers, and I saw her name in the top 10 in England, ranked 3 years in a row. Thank you. And that is special. It is to me. I loved sport as a kid, and you think, to be in the top 10 in the country, in their rankings. And it's still online, it's there. If anybody wants to have a look, just check me. And that commitment paid off. But unfortunately, Emily then had a setback. But with any setback, not only it's painful, it hurts, it throws you off course, but then potentially it's an opportunity. And from the recurring injury that stopped her swimming overnight, she discovered physiotherapy. And those people looked after her. She had a couple of operations on her knee. And through that process, she found her calling in life, which was to help people, to bring them back, to put them back on their feet. And now, as a professional physiotherapist, she spends her whole life getting people out of bed, walking around, giving them their life back along with other people in the audience. I know we've got a fair number of professional NHS workers, physios, doctors, and we are immensely proud of what you do. Thank you. And there are at least 3 other chartered accountants, so just bear with us. We do. And that is Emily, my beautiful, wonderful daughter. Wow. So now on to Tony. Tony. So as Jane and I welcome him into the family, I just want to reflect on, the few years that we've known Tony now and the first impressions. Now, the first date, I was in taxi mode, as parents are, and Emily said, I'm going out with this guy, we're going to have a date, we're going to Durham. And okay then, so I went down to the station, picked up, dropped Tony off at home, and Emily just made a comment in the car, and it resonated, and it stuck with me as a parent, and she said, isn't he amazing? And at that moment I knew, this is the guy, this is the one. Over time, I've got to know Tony, and here are a few words. When I first came to write the speech, the first thing I put down was, what do I think of Tony? Oh dear. Stick with it. First off, this is a young man who is driven. Yes, I know he likes his cars, but I mean driven. Young man starts from zero, gets a house, makes a wonderful place. He's done it all himself. Wow. The words that came to mind were driven. He is resilient. He shows fortitude. But equally, and these are equally important, he has patience and compassion. He knows how hard life can be, and he sticks with it. He sticks by the problems, he works through them. He is just an all-round great guy. And what else would I think? He's a lifelong Borough supporter. And he plans most of his life on Excel. I mean, why wouldn't an accountant love this guy? We're almost there. Within that life, and in no small way, one person has predominantly forged that person, forged what Tony is, and that is Jed. Thank you, yes. For the efforts of this one lady, she has produced an amazing guy that I am proud to call my son-in-law. I am proud to call him that, and I admire you for it. You have done a great job, a great job. Finally, I'll offer one bit of advice to Emily and Tony as husband and wife. Regardless of what challenges life throws at you, work through them together. Talk to each other. Compromise. Think about it. Yes, you'll have moments. We all do. But stick with it. And I know from your characteristics and the words that you said recently in that service, it's going to be great. You really are. Thank you. So in that life together, it's no longer about I or my or me. It is all about we. We are together. And speaking of we, Jane and I would be delighted if you would join me and Jane in a toast to offer Emily and Tony enduring love and good fortune in their future life together. Thank you. Emily and Tony. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. All right, moving on. We are ready for the most handsome man in the room. So let's put your hands together for the groom. It's Tony.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of my wife and I would like to thank each and every one of you for being here today. I know that some people have travelled from far and wide and that most people have booked hotels. Some of you have probably bought new suits and dresses as well. So for all the effort and expense it's taken to be here today, from the bottom of both our hearts, thank you. First of all, to Jane and Neil, my new mother and father-in-law. Thank you for everything you do for both Emily and I. But more importantly, thank you for raising such a beautiful daughter. 8 years ago, you welcomed me into the family with open arms. Since then, we've been on numerous holidays together, and I do genuinely feel like a part of the family now. I can remember the first time you invited me along to a family meal at the Blackwell Ox, which, if you don't know, is a bit of a Blenkinsop family tradition. And back then I was convinced that I didn't even like Thai food, but reluctantly I went along anyway for Emily. And 8 years and countless trips later, having not paid for a single meal once, I now know the menu off by heart. And it turns out I was right. I don't like Thai food. But a free meal is a free meal. And since we are technically family now, I may as well be honest with you. Something that me and Emily have hidden from you for the past 8 years. We didn't actually meet each other on Southfield Road in town. That was just a made-up story. We were too embarrassed to tell you at the time. We actually met each other on Tinder. So now you know. It's out the way now, isn't it?
Yeah.
All joking aside, Neil, I look at you and I think, if I could one day be as half a good a father as to what you are to Laura and Emily, then I'll have done a good job. And Jane, I know that Emily thinks the same about you as a mother. Thank you to my mum, Geraldine. Known to a few in the room as MC Jed. Only those that went to St David's will get that one. In my opinion, the best mum in the world. And I want to say thank you for everything you've ever done for me while I was growing up. All the sacrifices that you've made, for supporting me in everything I've ever done, and for everything you continue to do. Me and Emily love you very much.
I love you too.
I reckon me and Emily spend no more than £10 a week on food shopping.
Yeah.
Thanks to all the yellow stickers that you bring us. Whenever you call at 9 PM and say you're outside, I know that there's a care package inbound. And as a sign of As a sign of appreciation from Emily and I to both our mums, we've got you both a little gift. Can we bring out the flowers, please?
The yellow label.
Yeah.
Have you arranged that?
Oh, they're behind.
They're
Ah,
behind.
not very organised, sorry. No one told me they were behind me. To the three beautiful bridesmaids, Laura, Beth and Rachel, thank you for supporting my bride, not just today, but for all the years that you've known her. Thank you for encouraging her. Thank you for advising her on outfits so that I don't have to. And thank you for accepting me. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a toast to the bridesmaids. Also, thanks to Tony Blenkinsop for his reading during the ceremony earlier today. Cheers, mate. Now, this wouldn't be much of a speech without mentioning my three best men, Rob, Alex and Jamie. I've known Jamie since playgroup. We were both so young back then that neither of us could even walk. And I've known Alex and Rob since reception. A combined total of 86 years. So there's lots of stories and memories together. You've already had to endure their horrendous dancing, and shortly you'll have to listen to their speech, I'm afraid. But, just a word of warning, don't believe everything they say. Moving on to the main person in the room, my beautiful wife, Emily. Emily, from the moment I met you in summer 2017, I knew my life was about to change. In November the same year, in Poland, I asked you to be my girlfriend. In May 2018, overlooking the Grand Canyon, I told you for the first time that I loved you. And in March 2023, in the Maldives, I asked you to be my wife. We booked this wedding on the 19th of April 2023, and today is the 19th of April 2025. It's crazy to think how quick these last 2 years have flown by. Your singing in the morning, just after you get out of the shower, always puts a smile on my face. You are kind, compassionate, intelligent, and beautiful. But I don't think we've ever managed to get more than 15 minutes into a film without you falling asleep. You are my best friend and my safe place. If I could live 100 different lives, every time I would choose you. I'd like to share a story from one of our first dates. And we'd only known each other a couple of weeks at this point, and we were still getting to know each other. And it came up in conversation how much I like hiking and climbing mountains. But to my surprise, Emily said, yeah, I love that too. I'm really into the outdoors and hiking and camping. I thought to myself, wow, this is a match made in heaven. So we arranged to go camping in the Lake District the following weekend. But when we arrived at the campsite and started to unpack, I found that everything Emily had brought with her boots, a sleeping bag, a waterproof coat, it was all brand new. Some things even had the tags on them. And then it dawned on me, she's never actually been camping before. She just said all that to secure the second date. But regardless, we had a great time. Emily's actually taken to the outdoors quite well since then, and we've started to tick off a list of Wainwrights every time we climb a new mountain in the Lake District. There's over 200 in total, and we've only done 10 of them so far.
We'll get there.
But with the rest of our lives together, I'm sure we'll get somewhere close. Emily has organised about 99% of this wedding, and I was so proud watching her do it all. Everything from the table decorations, the positioning of the flowers, the colour themes, the invitations, the songs you hear playing in the background. She even chose this suit. It's all Emily, so credit to her. I think you'll all agree she's done an amazing job. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further delay, can we please all stand? And raise our glasses to the love of my life, to Emily. To Emily.
Thank you, Tony. All right, we often say we leave the best till last. And as I mentioned before, we've got not one, not two, but 3 best men. So please welcome to the stage, we've got Ali, Jamie and Rob. Press fade out the green one.
Hello everybody. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Jamie and I am delighted to be here today as Tony's best man. Hang on, I'm the best man? No, I am. Don't worry, we're not doing that really. We all know you're starving by now, so we'll try and keep this short and sweet. Mine and Tony's friendship began way back in 1994, when my grandma and Tony's mum Geraldine took us both to mother and toddlers in Ormsby. Little did we know then that the friendship would last 31 years and counting. In those 31 years, we would be best mates one day and dislike each other the next, but always managed to resolve our differences over a game of football. Tony always took himself to be really good at football, and looking at him back then, you'd think he was. With his slim physique and his R9 haircut, he looked the real deal. However, if you've ever seen Tony play, it would appear he has 2 left feet. So naturally, I would have to let him win. Tony did somehow manage to make the school football team, and even bagged himself a 10-second claim to fame in the Evening Gazette St David's Crossbar Challenge, where, as you can imagine, with his 2 left feet, he failed miserably. For anyone who's interested in seeing a bald Tony, come see me later, I've got the video. Myself and the other 2 best men all started together at the same primary school, St Clair's. Then a year later, Tony joined us, and we haven't been able to get rid of him since. We all went on to St David's together, where our friendship group expanded further to what's now known as the Borough Bad Boys. Aptly named, I'm sure you'll all agree. There's a couple of bad boys who couldn't make it here today. Firstly, James, who for a few years was paying Tony's mortgage whilst he was living in his spare room. He's living in Australia now, so he's got a decent excuse. Then there's Pete, who was so desperate not to come here today that he made up some excuse about moving to Canada. And well, that's got a little bit out of hand now, and he's actually moving. As a group, we've been on many lads' holidays and trips, and every single one of them has been planned by Tony, even ones he didn't actually go on. So how was I supposed to plan a stag for the most organised individual I have ever met? He can't even order a takeaway without creating an Excel spreadsheet. Well, let me introduce you to the second most organised person I know.
Right, afternoon everyone. I'm Alex, although the more astute among you may have realised by now that pretty much everyone calls me Ali. Now you may be wondering why there's three of us up here. Well, I think I know what's happened. When it came to Tony choosing his best man, his first instinct was to choose Rob. He's been his closest friend for 25 years. Easy decision. But the trouble with that was, he soon realised there was no chance Rob was doing a speech on his own. So then, Tony turns to Jamie. He's known him basically all his life. He was best man at his wedding. But most importantly, Jamie can't half chat some shite. So Jamie will be able to fill a speech. Job done. But then what about the stag do? Even between them, those two couldn't organise a bumming in a barracks. And believe me, Rob has tried many, many times. Now, I don't mean to brag, but I do literally make spreadsheets for a living. So I got roped in to make sure the stag didn't end up being a night at the Swatters followed by Tony Blair's. Seriously though, I grew up with two older sisters, so for a long while, Tony was the closest thing I had to a brother. I can't really say that anymore, no, they were kind of handy. It's a little inside joke. Ready for more? As Jamie mentioned, we all met in primary school, but it was a little later on that Tony and I grew closer. From bonding over our mutual love of Michael Schofield's tattooed body in Prison Break, to spending hour after hour playing FIFA together. To be fair to Tony, what a great decision to choose us three best men. Who else would you want to be organising your stag than Jamie, who when you were his best man, you nearly gave him pneumonia by putting him in a wedding dress for a night out in Amsterdam in late October. Rob, who has so many embarrassing photos of you, he wanted to scrap this speech completely and just do a 15-minute PowerPoint presentation. I've told him he's not allowed to show any photos though, so that's my wedding present to you. And then there's me, who when you were best man for me, you put me in dissolving shorts in the middle of the hotel pool in Benidorm. I'm doing my best to block that from my memory, and the therapy is helping. But there's one thing from my stag do that I'll never forget. After one particularly heavy night of drinking, Tony was trying his best to fulfil his duties and make sure I got back to our room safely. We made it to the road outside the hotel without much trouble, but the 10 steps leading up to the reception was a different story. It was like the world had been flipped on its side. I was like Leonardo DiCaprio trying to get back in his car in The Wolf of Wall Street. I was clinging to the handrails for dear life. Eventually he gets me up to the room. I don't quite make it into bed though. Instead, Tony finds me fast asleep with my top half on the bed, but the rest of me is hanging off the end and I'm kneeling on the hard tile floor. So of course, as your best mate would, he leaves me there and goes to sleep. That was only after taking some pictures and offering me to the group chat for €10 a go. A few hours later I woke up, no idea where I was, what the hell happened, why am I on the floor? I scramble around, I managed to find my phone and put the torch on, and I'm shining it around the room to try and get my bearings, find my way to the bathroom. As I'm doing that, there's one thing that the light catches. It's shining like a beacon of hope amongst the sea of bad decisions from that night, like a siren beckoning me towards it. So I move closer, and I lean in. I pretty soon realise that Tony has decided he's going to sleep completely naked, on top of his covers, and that beacon of hope glistening in the night was in fact just peeking out between his legs. Tony's sweaty ballsack. So when it came to Tony's stag, both Jamie and I were hungry for revenge. Sadly, I couldn't possibly disclose what went on. I'm getting jelly legs at the thought of sharing too much. I think those of you who are on the stag would agree that we got him back though. Now you may be wondering why we chose the YMCA as our entrance song, Well, there was one more of the village people with us, but I think we must have lost him somewhere in Prague. It's fair to say, though, that the stars of the show on the stag were Emily's dad Neil and her uncle Tony. Without them, not one of us would know how to properly validate our tickets on the Prague tram system. So big round of applause for those two, please. There were a few other things we learned from them over the weekend, but I don't think they'd particularly thank me for mentioning them. We didn't even use the trams in the end. We all chose to get Ubers to the football instead, so we could spend an extra hour in the pub racking up the bar tab. 17 more baby Guinness, please! As if one £1,000 bar tab wasn't enough, half the group decided to go back to the same pub the next day and managed to spend the same again, but with half as many people. The only problem with that plan was we were actually flying back that day. Let's just say it didn't turn out too well for a couple of them. I'm still not too sure how they managed to blag their way on the plane home.
As much fun as all that sounds, the main reason I was in favour of a 4-day-long stag do in Prague was to avoid the night feeds and the 6 a.m. wake-up calls. That idea fell apart on the first day when I realised that Tony would need putting to bed every single night. And on the last night, decided he was going to keep both me and Ali awake all night by violently throwing his guts up every 15 minutes from about 3 a.m. It was at this point, though, that I realised we'd succeeded in our job of making sure he'd had one hell of a weekend.
Now then, strap it. When it comes to women, Tony's never struggled. I mean, look at him, he's bloody gorgeous. A bastard. He never was one to discriminate when it comes to age either. Once upon a time, it wasn't unusual for Tony to find himself waking up next to someone twice his age. A few with kids not too much younger than him. It was obviously deliberate though. Why else, at 21, would you buy the absolute cougar magnet that is a 2-door BMW Z4? He's by no means perfect though. The one major drawback with Tony is he's a massive nerd. We're talking Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, he's got tattoos and everything. But above all that, he's addicted to a certain little game called RuneScape. For those of you with a life who don't know what RuneScape is, we've got Robbie here to tell you just a little bit about what it...
Speech is that side. RuneScape is a fantasy, massively multiplayer online role-playing game. Brackets MMORPG. Created by Jagex and published in January 2001. RuneScape has over 300 million accounts, and the Borough Bad Boys probably own half of them, and that's not including all of the accounts Tony's had banned for cheating. After thousands of hours of trying, Tony couldn't manage to buy a girlfriend on RuneScape. And we all thought that there was no one crazy enough to put up with him in real life. When I first met Emily, our relationship was similar to having a cold. Survivable in small bouts, but long-term exposure may kill me. However, after 8 long years, I have managed to survive. In spite of this, I'm certain everyone agrees that she looks absolutely stunning today.
I've always thought of Tony as my best friend, and now I feel very fortunate to have gained a second one in Emily.
I think we can all agree that Tony's organisation skills must have rubbed off on Emily over the last 8 years, as today is nothing short of spectacular. It has been years in the making. She was planning this day well before Tony finally built up the courage to get down on one knee. As you move forward in the next chapter of your story together, remember the immortal words of the great philosopher Natasha Bedingfield. Live your life with arms wide open. Today is where your book begins. The rest is still unwritten. The three of us and everyone in this room wish you both the very best as you embark on this journey together into married life. So without further ado, if we could all please stand and raise our glasses to the new Mr. and Mrs. Jarvis.